Kris from Deltarune, the sequel, not sequel of Undertale, isn't the hero of the story. Susie is. And I'll get around to explaining why that is later, but first we have to talk about Kris, the protagonist of Deltarune. You'll notice that while I called Susie the hero, I called Kris the protagonist, and this is because I paid attention in high school English and I actually read every single book that was assigned. Hell yes, even the Scarlet Letter, and I liked it too! Fight me! Anyway, we typically think of hero and protagonist as interchangeable because, well, in most narratives they are, but they actually aren't. A hero, according to a great summary from TV Tropes, is almost always right and a friend to all their teammates, and morally superior. Anybody in the story can be a hero, and while it's frequently the protagonist, it isn't always. The protagonist, in short, is literally just the main character, what the story is about, and sometimes the main character is kind of a dick, like Mal Reynolds in Firefly. Anyway, back to Kris. I love Kris. Kris is a kid with a vivid imagination, an imagination that's so eloquent that they can actually tell a story that's either so immersive that it makes the misanthropic and aloof Susie actually enjoy playing along, or it's literally actually magic. Either way, it's awesome. I'm sure I don't need to point out to you that all the toys, the stuffed animal in the corner, the checker pieces, the hammer, the playing cards are all characters that appear in Deltarune's main playthrough, or that the light fountain is literally the light switch, or that the sword that you have equipped in the game turns out to be a pencil, or the stuff that you had in your inventory is just a pile of trash, blah, blah, blah. This is all the stuff you know because you've either paid attention while playing or you've watched Matt's video on this. But the theming of this story, whether it's a magical manifestation of Kris's inner psyche or just an elaborate visualization of Kris's play with Susie, betrays a troubled mind. And in case you missed it while you were playing it, the game, or chapter, concludes with an ending that is chillingly reminiscent of not just the ending of Undertale, but the ending you get if you played a pacifist run after doing a genocide run, where Kris rips out their own heart, throws it into a cage, and brandishes a knife before grinning maniacally. Yikes. Psychopath. Actually, that's not totally fair, but let's talk about the psychological profile of Kris for a second. Here's what we know. Kris is a loner, not by choice. They have a strong imagination. They're adopted. Kris's adopted parents are divorced. Kris has a strong imagination. Kris has an older brother. Kris doesn't do well in school, doesn't have any notable achievements, an affinity for weapons, as shown by the knife that they keep with them, has insomnia, misunderstood by parents, and expresses trauma through creative storytelling. We know some of these things pretty obviously. Kris doesn't talk with their peers a lot. The character Noelle mentions this to you if you go around asking questions and exhausting all her dialogue options, and she also mentions Kris covering themselves in ketchup to make it look like they're bleeding. They're obviously adopted because Kris is the only human in town, and their parents are goat people, and they're less successful than their older brother when it comes to mainstream accomplishments, as evidenced by the sheer volume of accolades and trophies on their brother's side of the room, whereas their side is just sort of barren. And then, of course, there's the knife and the gleeful, evil grin. Now, to people who have either played through the genocide run of Undertale or have seen it, this ending probably immediately makes you think one thing: Kara, which probably makes you think the next thing: sociopath, and both of these things are wrong. I could do an entire video on why Kris isn't Kara, and maybe I will someday on Shoddycast over there, my other channel, but this is science. So for now, take it on faith that Kris isn't Kara, but perhaps more importantly, Kris is definitely not a sociopath. Sociopathy, as it's known colloquially, or antisocial personality disorder, is, according to the DSM-5, a word that you can use in a YouTube video or up to 6 YouTube videos in order to build suspense and hype around your documentary about an infamous YouTuber, regardless of the possible damage you could be causing in the meantime for mentally ill people everywhere. Okay, I'm just kidding. But seriously, antisocial personality disorder is a very specific diagnosis, and I could go through the effort of showing you each diagnostic tick mark and going on about how antisocial behavior is a spectrum and not a binary 1 or 0, or show you the test I took answering for Kris that determines that they're on the spectrum but not severe.